Today marks 5 years since the United Kingdom finally left the European Union following lengthy Brexit negotiations. In 2016, Britons voted by 52% to 48% to leave the EU. It was not a legally binding referendum, but the Conservative government promised to respect it. Now, polls show that a majority of Britons think that leaving the EU was the wrong decision. And to discuss this more, I'm joined by Denis McShane, former UK Europe Minister under Tony Blair's Labour government. Good morning, Denis, and thank you for joining us. 5 years on from Brexit, how is it viewed in the UK?
A disaster. Just negative, negative, negative. As you rightly said, 2016, we voted to leave very narrowly after a big campaign, a lot of Russian money, Rupert Murdoch money, and populist right-wing Marine Le Pen activity to vote to leave. But it was agreed we would stay in the single market, stay in the customs union, we'd still be able to travel, live, retire. And then along comes Boris Johnson 2020 with his deal, and all of that's thrown out of the window. And since then, we've seen a big impact on the economy. I can list lots of stats: 1 million fewer cars produced, thousands of small enterprises going out of business, unable to export, impossible for Brits to go as before, to retire to Spain or the south of France for in the warm, and massive majorities in all the opinion polls now saying, please, can we rejoin?
Now, Chancellor of the Exchequer Rachel Reeves has said that Brexit has had negative effects on the UK economy, and without delivering any of the promised benefits, of course, as well. How has it changed the British political landscape, though?
The fact is we now have 500 MPs out of 650 who are from the left, from the Labour Party or the Liberal Democrats, who are much more centre-left than the Liberals in France, from the Scottish Nationalists, from Greens, the Green Party. And those 500 MPs all were elected opposed to Brexit, but Sir Keir Starmer believes, because he said in his manifesto that Britain would not rejoin the single market or the customs union or accept free movement of citizens between Britain and the rest of Europe, he's boxed in. Many of us think it's time to change that position.
Now, British voters in a poll last week said that they wanted more trade with the EU, particularly with regard to Donald Trump's new administration in the US. Will Starmer be moved to actually take any action on this?
Well, he's caught between his own rock and his own hard place, in the sense it was a manifesto commitment. And if you are elected on a given position, then it's hard to move from that. The famous Lord Maynard Keynes, the world's greatest economist in the mid-century, said, the facts change, I change my mind, what do you do? We're now seeing the facts on the ground, the big damage, for example, the City of London, the Lord Mayor, that's not the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, but the City of London, tearing out their hair at the loss impact to the financial sector. The Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, also wants to return. The Mayor of Manchester wants a sort of return. So it's up now to Sir Keir Starmer to work out. In politics, you can decide something, you can be elected, but when it's shown to doing such damage to the nation, then I think the duty of a politician is to find ways of persuading people it's time to move on. In this case, to move back, not fully rejoin, maybe like Switzerland, maybe like Norway, but it's just doing so much damage to the British economy, which needs to grow. We've inherited from the Conservative Party the worst British economy ever in our economic history. Don't want to go into political details. We need to grow. The Chancellor wants Britain to grow. How can you grow when you refuse to trade with the biggest market in the world, 20 kilometres across the Channel?
Now, finally, one of the sticking points is mutual freedom of movement, which Starmer's government has been reluctant to revisit, but the EU will insist on it for a wholesale resumption of trade. Is this non-negotiable for the UK?
It's very, very hard, because the Brexit referendum was fought in 2016 on immigration, not on anything else. So many people that came in from Europe, they were working, they were doing jobs here in Britain. Every town had a Polish food shop, a Slovakian number plates, and it caused that real resentment, exactly the same resentment that has given rise in France to Marine Le Pen, to the AfD in Germany, to Madame Meloni's become Prime Minister on 28% of the vote in Italy. Immigration is the #1 global issue. It helped Donald Trump to become president a second time. So it's too easy to say, oh, simply go back to what it was, because the politics of that no longer works. So I think, with all affection and respect for my friends in Europe, in Brussels, they have to put on their thinking caps and work out how we control immigration.
Thank you very much for that, Dennis McShane, the former UK Europe Minister.